It is very important that you distinguish clearly between practical and scientific knowledge. So please turn to page 40. There, in note 22, you will find a table which shows several items to describe the two different types of knowledge, marked Type A knowledge and Type B knowledge. Since entrepreneurial knowledge is the most important type, we will call it Type A, and we will call scientific knowledge Type B. The name of 4 authors appear in the table: Michael Oakeshott, who was Professor of Political Science at the London School of Economics; Friedrich Hayek, who received the Nobel Prize in Economics and was the star disciple of Ludwig von Mises; Michael Polanyi, and Mises himself. These authors have theorized about what separates the two types of knowledge, as I have explained them to you today, but the authors' approaches have varied slightly. Take a look at the 4 pairs of contrasting terms. Next to Type A, write entrepreneurial knowledge. There we read that it is practical or traditional. In what sense? Note the Latin origin, traditio, traditionis, to hand over. How did the master craftsman in the painter's workshop teach the young Velázquez? Day by day, the teacher gradually and implicitly handed over to his pupil a wealth of practical entrepreneurial knowledge. In contrast, Type B knowledge, scientific or technical knowledge, is formalized. It can be contained in a book. Wouldn't it be convenient if all knowledge were like that? A new apprentice arrives and you tell him, "Here kid, study this book." When you know the book by heart, you can start painting. That would be as easy as saying, "Would you like to be a rich entrepreneur?" Let's see, who wants to be a millionaire? And everybody raises his hand. Who wants to make €1,000,000 a year? Sure, why not? Well, it's very simple. If you want to make €1,000,000, head straight to the Faculty of Entrepreneurial Sciences. There you learn how, and then you walk back outside and presto, €1,000,000. Entrepreneurial sciences. A science. What nonsense! According to Hayek, as we will see, practical entrepreneurial knowledge is dispersed knowledge, in the sense that it is spread throughout the minds of different human beings, while scientific knowledge is centralized knowledge. Another author, Michael Polanyi, focuses on the either tacit or articulate nature of knowledge. Entrepreneurial knowledge is tacit. It is implicit. It is like the message a movie conveys. Maybe a shot of the main character with a certain look on her face communicates a huge volume of practical knowledge, just that image alone. The knowledge is not codified, explicit, or expressed in words. People would get tired of reading lines on the screen, and they would walk out of the theater. Filmmakers want to transmit practical entrepreneurial knowledge that is subjective and cannot be expressed in words. Indeed, the thoughts a movie suggests to us and the feelings it provokes in us are precisely what give it its charm. A movie does not spell everything out perfectly as if it were an article in a scientific journal full of mathematical formulas. And finally, according to Mises, practical entrepreneurial knowledge deals with unique events which are historically unrepeatable, and scientific knowledge deals with classes. What scientists do is classify things, and then study the behavior of the classes. I'd like to wrap up today's lesson with a question. It's kind of a trick question, and every year people fall for it. Economics, economic science. Does it consist of practical knowledge, or does it consist of scientific knowledge? Scientific. Phew! That's right. Last year, when I asked the question, the entire group answered unanimously, practical. It's true that I just spent the whole class period talking about practical knowledge. They were probably thinking, so which is it? Haven't you been saying that the type of knowledge that is important is entrepreneurial, that it is subjective, that it is practical, that it is the type no one has taught us about until now, that this is going to be the first time we hear about it, and that we are very lucky, and now you dump a bucket of cold water over us and tell us you're a scientist after all? Economics is the science that studies, in formal, scientific, centralized terms, the processes of creation and transmission of practical knowledge, and thus the apparent contradiction is eliminated. To put it another way, economics is the science which consists of theorizing about the phenomenon of entrepreneurial creativity, and the processes through which the knowledge entrepreneurs generate is transmitted. I am not going to teach you how to make money. I am not going to teach you how to win a girl's affections. I am not going to teach you how to paint, nor how to run a company, nor how to be successful in marriage. You will have to learn those things for yourselves by facing the harsh realities of the real world as you work and act entrepreneurially in your daily lives. What I am going to teach you is the importance, the undeniable superiority of this type of knowledge, entrepreneurial, practical knowledge in our lives. We will also talk about the mechanisms and processes through which it is created and transmitted, and which give rise to the wonders of society and the market.